to Trap Life. Thanks so much if you're watching this. You're my kind of guy. Trap Life guys that just want to talk about the details of today. I mean, it's WingT details, but details of these running-oriented offenses. Today we're talking about Bucksweep. And I wanted to talk, and it's not just Bucksweep as a whole. I have a couple specific questions that I want to ask my guest tonight, who is Mike Morrissey. Now, Mike Morrissey is the head football coach at Moline High School. And Morrissey's got an interesting story, man. So he's got him and his staff have some good videos here on the online clinic and on Trap Life. So if you scroll down to the Trap Life page, you'll see some videos by Morrissey and his staff. They're doing an incredible job at Moline. Now, Moline is a big high school here in Illinois. And in Illinois, big means it's like 2,000 kids, right? Give or take, but somewhere around 2,000 kids. And they play in 7A in Illinois. There are 8 classes, so they're a big high school. And you don't get many, obviously, big high schools that are going to run the WingT. Now, is Morrissey an old school guy? I don't know, man. You meet him and you don't get the impression that this is an old school guy. I mean, I told him last year when he was on my whatever, I think he came on a Trap Life or something. He was a guest on something. And I said, what's this Lincoln Riley looking dude running WingT? Right? He doesn't strike you as this old school kind of guy, but man, he's got a good story about how he ended up kind of looking at and pursuing. And it's like, as he started going WingT, it's almost like, maybe I'm wrong here, but I see them it's like they're going deeper and deeper into the WingT. What started as, well, we'll be WingT based, but play with other stuff. And you'll hear from him today on why they continued to go more and more under center stuff this year. They were tough as nails. They ended up going 9-2 this year, losing a heartbreaker last Friday night. And he and I talked about that as well. I had 2 questions for Coach regarding the Bucksweep. So we're talking Bucksweep today, but not just Bucksweep as a whole. I have 2. There's a lot that, as I dive back into going back into the WingT, a couple questions that I've had, right? We blocked things right there at that play side between that tight end and wing. Tackle, I feel, is pretty standard, right? He's got to be gap down backer. I don't know that there's a lot different you can do about that. But that tight end wing, how are you approaching that? Good buddy of mine, Wade DeVries, he and I block it a little differently there at the point of attack. And I wonder a lot, right? We had a rule that we went by when in my days at Champaign Central. We called it Underwash Climb. That tight end was trying to get under like a 6-eye. He's trying to get under him. That's the first thing. I want to get under him. If I can't get under him, I'll wash him. If I do get under him, I'll climb to backer, to that backside backer, right? So that was our rule, Underwash Climb. DeVries has gone to, I believe, a lot of a double team at the point of attack. This year, when we went to our Bucksweep, right, in my transition back into WingT stuff, we were still in the gun for this year, but for us to maintain a lot of same-as stuff of what we were already doing, I went with a double team there at the point of attack. But blocking with a double team right there at the point of attack between that tight end and wing leaves a large run-through lane underneath that tight end, and I worry about that, right? So this year for us, that run-through lane was we got run through on a lot. Now, I knew when I was looking at it and in the middle of the game, I'm going, I can't fix this right now. Like, this is a long fix. It takes a long time. There's only so much I can do, right? We want you to come off that double team sooner. But if I changed this rule altogether and said, don't ever go to a double team, all of a sudden they line up in something a little bit different, and now I'm getting nothing out of them, right? So I couldn't tell them just to skip them. Okay, that's the long version. Either way, I wanted to ask Morrissey 2 questions. One being, how are you blocking that there between tight end and wing? Because I'm curious how guys do that. I think that piece of the block of the play is huge, right? At the end of the day, the guards are pulling some way. Some guys do it differently, but the guards are pulling, right? They're going to get out there. You need one to kick and one to lead for the most part. But the play never works. It doesn't work if you don't get that play side block taken care of between that tight end and wing. Like, the better you block that right there between those 2 players, That's the success, a huge portion of the success of the play. So I wanted to know. But the other thing I wanted to ask him is that, and I noticed this as soon as I turned on the film, I was watching his game on NFHS last Friday night because my team's not in the playoffs. But as I was watching, as soon as I saw him run it, I went, oh, they run their backfield action the way Bellevue, Washington does. And that is, right, so the difference is when I've always run my buck sweep, it has been turn, and it's hard to do because I want the mic to be able to hear me. So let's just pick up the mic. It is, so let's say I'm going buck sweep left. I'm going to open here, and as I come here, I'm going to give, right, they're going buck sweep this way. I'm going to give, and I like to wave goodbye as I'm running that way. I'm going to boot away, and I'm going to wave goodbye. That's how we used to always do it. I'm going to wave. I take this hand, and I turn the thumb down, almost like an option pitch. All right, so we're going to give and wave and go, right? And what we used to do was, when we were giving, we look to our boot. And when we are booting, we wave and look to the ball, right? So now we keep the ball here in our left, right here in our belly, turn and wave, look to the ball as I start to boot. And I'll tell you what, the better you get at that, you can commit 2-3 steps looking at that ball and kind of cruising and cruise control speed. Then all of a sudden you snap your head back and look, you got space, right? You've sold that by looking. Now you can go. I like that because I was getting depth from my quarterback so that he could get out and go. I also liked it because I felt like it looked closer to what we were doing when we would go counter crisscross, right? So if you have ever talked WingT football with me before, you know how much I love counter crisscross. So that's what I've always done, but Bellevue, Washington doesn't do it like that, man. They reverse out and they ride that buck sweep fake like the same way that you would ride a belly. It's different. They're the only team I know of that does that. And I noticed this the very first time they ran buck sweep on Friday night on that NFH. When I'm watching NFHS, I went, oh, they do it Bellevue style. So I wanted to ask Coach today those two questions. So let's just cut over that conversation. So much insight from Morrissey. Before I cut over, okay, backpedal one more time. What got me going and saying, okay, I guess I got to start here is, I'm going back to WingT, and I thought you can't go back to WingT without just starting at square one, man. And for me, square one is Mike Johnson's 3 videos, which is right here on Chief Pigskin. Started with the 20 series. It's an hour presentation, and he is incredible. Right there at Pioneer, they won 10 or more games like 14 years in a row. I mean, it was some stupid number. And he learned it from Tubby Raymond. I mean, from back in the 90s, he was learning this. So it's like here's how you run true WingT. Not any sort of WingT variation. That's what Mike Johnson says right away. It's like, this is not hybrid WingT. It's not shotgun WingT. It is WingT. All the way down to the numbering system from Tubby Raymond. And that's where I felt like I had to start. So I started there in the 20 series. Trap, sweep, waggle. And that's where it's got to start. So I thought that's where I'm going to start talking ball right now here on Trap Life. Sweep. Right? I know you all know how to block buck sweep, but what about those details within it? What about those details? What exactly is the quarterback's footwork? What exactly is your rule blocking on the play side? So those are the two questions I went with and would stick with today. How are you going to do your backfield action? And how do you block that right at the point of attack? I still like the underwash climb. Morrissey's option, I like it too. Could I go with that? So let's just cut to our conversation with Morrissey. I think you guys will really enjoy it. And I'll come back after my conversation with Morrissey just to sign us off and get us ready for next week's Trap Life vid. So, all right. So here we are. Here's Coach Morrissey, the guy. Now listen, Coach, I visited you last year and you were like, I'm a WingT guy, but you guys were doing a lot of stuff. I mean, it was a lot of gun, and I'm watching your film. I'm like, yeah, he's a WingT guy. And then I'm like, but he's not full-fledged WingT. So then I tune into your playoff game this weekend, which, by the way, for all of our viewers, was an incredible. Was it 4 overtimes?
4 overtimes, yeah.
4 overtimes. Coach's team came up just short. And when I say just short, that is like understatement of the year. Played an incredible playoff game this last week. And coach, so I watched the whole thing, NFHS.
Yeah.
And because my team's not in the playoffs. But coach, when I turned on, dude, you were 100% under center WingT. I was not expecting that. Why? What happened? I thought you were like multiple. What took you say, dude, nope, under center?
Yeah, so we did do a lot of things in shotgun still throughout the course of the season, but when it came down to needing to win a football game that was important, that mattered, we were under center probably 90% of the time, if not 95%. And that's just, it's the quick hitting stuff, it's the angles, it's the mesh of all of it, and kind of the continuity of being under center and having it kind of go in a nice rhythm, I think is really what we ended up falling back on. And our quarterback was an under center kid. He was a good runner, but he could still beat you with different things off play action. He could beat you off of him carrying out his fakes and then coming to the sidelines and saying, hey, there's nobody there for me. So if I keep this thing, and we scored a touchdown in the playoff in the game this last Friday when he came off the sidelines. He said, look, if we run sweep, nobody's checking me backside. And so I called it. I go, you keep it. And he did. And he took off for about a 20, 25-yard touchdown run. And so we committed to, being a little bit more under center this year. And I think it was good for us. We set a new school record for rushing yards in a season, and had a lot of different guys carry the ball, but it was good. It's what we needed to be.
Well, I loved seeing it, man. Like I said, it was like when I turned it on, by the end of the first drive, I'm going, dude, there was no gun. Right. No. And like I said, like you could say you do a lot, but the question is, what do you do? Correct. When you gotta have something? And you guys were under center.
And that's it.
Here's the thing. I've told everybody that's been watching this anyway. I'm 100% in. We're WingT. But here's the thing. I don't want to just go WingT. I don't want to just run plays. No. We want to be, our goal is to be the cleanest, sharpest WingT in the state. Like when people think WingT Illinois, I want them to think Hayworth, right? So now there's some great WingT teams in the state. Now you're on that list. So I want to be up there. But first thing I did to tell my staff, I sent them video of 2 teams practicing. I said, these 2 are the best 2 WingT teams in the nation. Who do you think I sent them footage of?
Oh goodness. Well, the first one on my list is Bellevue High School in Washington. That's the guy. I mean, I learned from Coach Gontroff, quite a bit. So I would say him. I think another one that is talked about a lot is Scott County in Kentucky. I think
Scott County's good. I didn't send them though.
We talked about quite a bit. And then honestly, we again studying stuff. We spent a lot of time with Cathedral Catholic as well out in San Diego, California. I've spent a lot of time looking at the stuff they do. They're primarily in the center as well. But
and I haven't studied Cathedral. Here's the 2 teams
good, man.
I said Bellevue.
Oh yeah.
And Sherwood, Oregon.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Sherwood, really good one. Dude, clean.
They're a machine.
I mean, everything is like you just watch them play, and it's just different.
They're
I don't
good.
feel like you turn these teams on and you see WingT. You turn it on and you see that formation, but then they run the play and it's like, it's different.
It's beautiful, man. I'm just going to call it what it is. It's everything is in sync. Everything is, the get off the ball is just incredible. The carrying out of the fakes, like all the little nuances that make this system so successful, they are mastering it year in and year out. Honestly, it's just impressive.
Unreal. And that's what when I decided, we went halfway through the season and said, we're going WingT, right? I told you I couldn't go under center in the middle of the year. One of the first things I started doing is we started incorporating that belly sweep fake. I took all of our kids. It was the first thing we did every day. My fullback, my quarterback, and my wing back. And it was slow motion belly sweep. And I said, you can't do anything great fast if you can't do it great slow.
Sure.
Right. And it was right hip, left hip.
Ball
held on to and secured. And then that thing had to be yanked out, man. And it was like have to turn the shoulders of my fullback. And I feel like, and I've never spoken to anyone from Bellevue like you have, but I'm like, I'm just watching this on repeat, right? How do you do this fake? Because it's impressive. How are you teach it to get it to that level?
So we basically go off their philosophy, and it's from a quarterback standpoint. Obviously, it starts with the feet. Everything meshes up with the feet. But when you're carrying out your fake, you're not just going, back hip as far past the front hip as you can. Your eyes are also selling that, so where the ball goes, your head is going as well. So, everything is tied together. It's like when you're teaching a quarterback how to throw, you're tying the eyes and the feet together. Well, we're going to tie the ball and the eyes together when we're faking everything. And our kid this year was pretty much as good as we've had, because he was able to get low. He played everything down low. Everything was at perfect height for what we're.
Is that a thing for Bellevue?
It is. Low. And that's something.
Quarterback low.
It is. It's part of the deceptiveness, and him being a magician is a big part of the system. So he gets down his stance super low. Our kid this year really got down his stance exceptionally low. And then everything he did was at that level, and he's looking, eyes and ball together all the time. And he was, it takes a lot of time. We're sitting here, year 5, putting this thing in, and we're just getting to that point. So we were not there before. We're starting to get there now, especially with some of the younger quarterbacks that are coming through our system that have not done it enough. But our kid this year was pretty much the textbook for what we want it to be from a quarterback standpoint. And that's what we're going to show our kids. We teach them how to do things. It's going to be clips of them this year of him, carrying and riding and making sure his feet are great and the balance is going from, again, back foot to front foot and everything else. He was good at it. I think that's something that they put emphasis on at Bellevue as well. Is just the ride, the over exaggeration of the ride, the eyes following the ball, and really just being super disciplined, as far as each and every play, what your job is.
Well, today we're talking sweep. And the first time I watched you run buck sweep on Friday, was it Friday night, your game?
Yeah.
The first time you ran buck sweep on Friday, I went, Bellevue. Do you know what it was that gave away the Bellevue influence?
The pull?
Yeah, like what? You got to explain to me, why do they do it like that? All right, so hold up for our audience. Let's go see it. I want them to see it. And it's different, right? I've never run buck sweep like this. So here's this quarterback. You can't see it, coach, but the audience can. Yeah. You ride it like the same way you ride belly.
Correct.
Boom. And then he boots out from it.
So
boom,
that
he rides that. Okay. Now talk me through it. Why do they do this? Why?
So honestly, I think the big thing again is just being able to threaten the field everywhere you go, and for them, as far as what they're trying to do when they pull, and they do basically almost like a question mark pull is what he called it at times, just because you don't know necessarily what's going to happen right at the point of the attack. You may be able to wash some guys down, you might not. So they take an angle where you may be that kick guy, that play side guard, you might be the kick guy. Or you may be logging that guy and it's going to end up getting outside, and that's the way it goes. And then the backside guard takes his bucket step and he's going to do his thing as well as far as a wrap guy. But, from a quarterback standpoint, it's just being low and then getting down and riding that thing all the way. And then again, making sure you're carrying out your fake, 10 yards downfield, the opposite direction. So I think it's just being able to hold somebody. You talk about a fake is worth 2 blocks. If you can be great at faking the ball, you're going to pull somebody, or even if you can hesitate somebody for a half a step, you're going to help a teammate out somewhere. So the philosophy is, you ride it, you do those types of things, your footwork's that way, because it's all got to mesh together, and it all has to look the same. Trap's got to look the same off that.
Yeah.
Obviously the sweep is great, but everything's got to look the same. It has to look mirrored to your trap play so that nobody can kind of pick and choose what you're running.
So I've never run buck sweep like that. I've always taken buck sweep. My quarterback gets off the midline, right? He's going to give, and then he's going to boot away. Now, what I like about that is that we're giving, and my quarterback is still in motion, and he gets to get depth on his boot. He's already moving, right? I feel like I'm getting him out of there. So you're losing that with this.
Yeah.
So what's the benefit of that ride? Is it, help me out, help me.
I think again, like if we run trap, he's going to ride that the same exact way on his sweep fake. You know what I mean? So like you're pulling guys, like you're selling that. It's the deceptiveness of doing that. And honestly, we run bootleg to the weak side off of that. You know, we do the same thing. And our guy
getting time.
We've never had an issue with it. Now there may be times where he has to step up underneath the guard, kicking out, but we've never had an issue. I think
because you're taking time to sell it.
Correct.
So they don't.
It's the over exaggeration of the sell or the actual handoff. Because again, we'll hit you if you're flowing. You know this, coach, as well as anybody. If those backers are flowing or people are flowing, then you're going to run trap underneath that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you fake the sweep the exact same way after you've given the ball to the fullback, and these guys are running this way, and your fullback's running right past them with nobody around. Like that's the sell. That's the sell.
Okay. So coach us through how you coach your quarterback on Bucksweep.
Yeah. So
I mean, you got room behind you too. You could demonstrate this, and you had to have been a QB yourself.
Our coaches will probably make fun of me because I do it all the time anyway. So
I want to see it.
But I'll be honest, coaches, he gets under, right? So, and I can move some of this stuff out of the way. But he's going to be low in his stance. So I mean, he's down, he's under. So his opening, is really just a kind of slight clear. So I know you talked about getting off the midline. We'll get off the midline, but not much. And it's pretty tight still, right? So as he's under and he's down, he's going to take that first, if we're running buck sweep this way, he's going to take his right foot, barely take it off the midline, seat the ball right here in his stomach, and he's down like this. So he stays down in that position. So our fullback is taught, you're the one coming through and selling the fake. Our quarterback won't even put it in your stomach. He's going to put it right here and basically just hold it in a seated position and stay really low. Okay, so then off of that, he's going to pivot back to the ball, bam, ride right there, or back to line of scrimmage, give, and then he's out the other way. But the big thing is not being in a hurry, right? So as you're here, bam, right there, that sells the fake. Take a step back to the mesh point, boom, right here. So now you're parallel to the line of scrimmage, back, eyes, give, stay low, and then you can get out and go. But it's time consuming to teach it. I'm going to be honest, like our guys, it takes time, but
I get it. Yeah.
Being low in the footwork does take a little bit of time.
And that's what I'm wondering right now. So as I'm, cause I'm coming in with a new crew to do it, and I've got an option here to decide between riding it like this or just doing how I always was, which was give and go.
Yeah.
So I like it. What I like about it is you get a lot of the same because it's the same motion as like your belly and your belly sweep.
It is.
I like that.
The exact same. And again, if he's selling that like that, but really quick when we run trap and he's giving that ball to the fullback and he still rides that thing. I mean, these are, for us, we're going against 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. Like your eyes are going to deceive you at some point in time. Like I know you're told, read your keys. You're going to look back there. It's almost a guarantee. And then for him, again, the longer that he rides that thing and then carries out his fake, if there really is nobody checking him, then he's going to know it. Like he's going to know it by the time he gives that thing off and gets around after 2 or 3 times, like, hey, there's nobody here. There's just nobody. And so it gives you that, even though it's not a play that we run a ton, obviously is a tell him to keep the ball, but it's enough to where we can send everything one way and then him keep to go back the other way simply because people aren't doing their job, defensively. So we like the ride. We feel like it sells everything. It for us, it meshes up a lot and we're not worried about getting out so much. Cause I'll be honest, if we do throw the ball, it's probably 12 times a game, at the highest at this point. So if he's running bootleg, he's still selling that thing, gives our tight end time to cross and do his thing, gives our wing time to run a post. We call a Gator 7 is what we call basically a corner route by our split end. And then it gives our fullback time to get in the flat and he's able to get around and read things. And we've been lucky. It's never been an issue for us off the bootleg.
I like it. Okay. One other question as we're talking, I want to keep these episodes a little bit short.
Yeah.
All right. Second question. Well, before I get to that question, is anyone else run it like this, or is that just a Bellevue thing?
I think it's a Bellevue thing.
It's the only people I've seen do it.
I think that's it. And even when I did it as a high school quarterback, my dad ran a lot of the WingT stuff that we do even now a little bit. And we didn't do it that way. We're everything was kind of standing straight up, like kind of give Bam a hand or so, whatever it may be. And I think the discipline part of this way is probably a little bit, you have to be on it a little bit more, but at the same time, I think that's become our identity, as well.
I'm going to disagree with you for a second, Coach, but by disagreeing, I'm actually agreeing. You don't have to be on it a little bit more. You have to be on it. Not a little bit. It's not a little bit more. Like, that's what I want to tell my buddies that are WingT guys that have been like, I've had a couple guys that have told me, and one of my buddies is going to watch this. I know, Wade DeVries. He's having an incredible year. He's kicking butt. And he went away from belly sweep because he couldn't get it to go. Maybe, I wonder, Wade, right? I'm talking to you, Wade, my other buddies. Dude, it's not like a little bit of commitment. It is like you live it. You live it, and you are like you're just relentless about it.
It's true.
That's the only evidence I can see on why my teams are having success with it, because we are relentless with it. And our level of play is like way down here right now, right? And we have goals to go up, but I'm like, dude, we are relentless. Like, you do not get those results unless you are relentless with that.
You have to be, and I think that goes for every position. Like, the ownership that everybody takes is rare in a system like this at times, because like obviously for me, coaching the quarterbacks, their footwork has to be flawless, and it has to be everything that we're looking for. Our running backs coach has to be on top of the exact same stuff, on top of his fakes, making sure there's ball security, make sure they're doing the right thing after. I mean, and then our receiver coach, who is amazing. I mean, obviously we haven't thrown the ball a ton, but they're sitting there counting pancakes. I'm like that's their big thing. Like, we want to put guys into the ground. We want to bury defensive backs. Like, it's not a system for the, it's definitely not a soft system, so to speak, but the attention to detail at each position and the ownership at each position is unique. And it's something that I love, because I think our coaches absolutely love it. I think they love taking pride in the fact that, we are a physical system. The kids do a lot of different things, but yet it's not a lot. Like, it might look like a lot at times, but it's not, at least not at this point.
So I was at the Illini game. My old staff at Champaign Central and I joined a tailgate. They're all there, and everyone's telling old stories. And we were all talking about that crew of guys that was together. A bunch of them have gone on to be head coaches and successful ones. One of them being my buddy Wade down at Roxana. Yeah. And we talked about how one of the greatest parts of that staff was how much pride each man took in his own position. But then later that night, I started thinking about it, and I started thinking, one of the great things about the WingT, and I'll never tell everybody that the WingT is a better offense. I don't know that I believe that, but there's some reasons why I love it the most. And one of the things is that I believe, because of that attention to detail, it puts more on your coaches, which in the end, I think is more fun for your coaches.
I do too, big time. And we've run a spread system, and don't get me wrong, like you said, there's a lot of good things offensively, no matter what you're doing. And those coaches take pride in that stuff. Obviously, there's no doubt about it. But when I have one player, or our receiver coach has one player on the field, like, you want them to be really successful, because they're the only ones out there that you have, maybe. And, I know that goes for any system you run, if there's just one out there, but I just think it's unique. I really do. I think it's not the norm in high school football right now. And I think that's what makes it fun. And then we do enough, in the passing game to keep teams honest. At least we try to.
Well, we have a little funny, but a little saying in our program that we always talk about with the boys when they're stretching. And we always say, why are they called the little things, when they're the things that make you good or not good? Correct. But everyone calls them the little things. And that's why I always wondered, why are they called the little things? Where did that term come from?
I don't know.
They're not the little things. They're literally the things. They're the difference between good and bad.
Yeah.
And we call them the little things.
It's true. That is weird, isn't it?
They're the things
that weird.
Make you good or not.
All right. Now,
okay.
If I ever catch myself saying that again, I'm going to be like, what are you doing? Like, stop it. Stop it. That's not true.
All right. Here's the other question I want to ask you about your buck sweep, coach. And
Yeah,
I've known a lot of guys that do it differently, and my buddy Wade and I do it differently.
sure.
I want to know blocking on that front side, tackle, tight end, wing. How are you talking through rules? What are your rules for those three players?
Yeah.
Because they
So,
can see so many different things. It's like, I feel strongly you have to have a clean answer for them.
oh, there's no doubt about it. So we go into it with our tight end and our wing have to be great communicators, and they do this every play. So regardless of what play we're running, our tight end is going to give a 1 or a 2 call. Okay. So what that means is this: if that guy is an inside shade on our tight end, and it's a loose outside guy that we're going to play as our kick guy, he's going to give a 1, and that's just basically saying, I got this. I'm on my own. I'm gonna down block him. You can take your path, stay on your track, and work up to a linebacker. We got it covered. If that guy's head up, or if he's maybe slightly inside shade and he's like, I don't know, man, this guy's been getting after me all night, he's going to give a 2. That means they're going to double that guy down, and they will not leave him until they feel like they've gotten some movement and one guy can take him over. And typically it'd be our tight end that we'd like to have take over, especially if he's a slight inside shade. So they're going to talk that out the entire way. Our tackle, okay, is always on a bogey call. We call bogeys inside blitzes. He's alert, bogey alert, those types of things. Our tight end is always bogey alert. So if our tackle, kind of gets a read where, like, look, I got to block down on a shade, but that guy's coming, he's calling bogey, bogey, bogey the whole way. And honestly, we got at the end of the season to a point where our guard and tackle were talking it out to where they would say, like, you, me, you, me, you, me. And our guard would give it. So if he says me, 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 our guard's going to pull just like he always does and do his thing. If we got a different look, he'd give a you call, and our tackle would actually end up being the pull and the kick guy, which was we call it a text. We call it text, but other people call it something different. But they got to a you me deal I think it was our first round game against the Cal that we ended up you, and he ended up being the guy that pulled a few times and kicked out. So that's the communication across the board. Always, it's always a 1 or a 2 call with our wing and tight end, depending on that look. Our tracks are always going to stay the same, so they're always going to work together. Just maybe one coming off early or vice versa. But they're always going to kind of be in sync with each other. And then our tackle, is typically that down block player. But if he gets a bogey call, if we see something that's not normal, then our guard and our tackle actually communicate quite a bit as well.
Now, I was watching some Bellevue film, and I saw once they took tight end, just went, and I think it was like a guy that was head up at the tight end.
Yeah.
And tight end just went an on block, just straight up, me versus you, I'll take you on, kind of got a little push. And the wing inverted as he went down. And this was Bellevue.
Yep.
You know anything about this? Is this something you've ever used?
We have not. We could have last year because I felt like our tight end could win those matchups. This year, our tight end was, 170 pounds, and he just wasn't going to win a lot of those one-on-one blocks. He's a junior, so hopefully he gets stronger. But we didn't. I have seen that, which is unique, and Butch kind of did that stuff, and was always super creative with the way he blocked things. But our tight end this year would not have been able to handle that. Like our concern is obviously penetration by that guy as well. Yeah. So if he gets upfield and he blows us up, we're in trouble. And that happened quite a bit on Friday night, this last Friday as well, because that guy was, just a big, strong kid and kind of overpowered us at times. So, it's different. It's definitely a different look, and I'm sure they were getting some penetration in a different way, and maybe they were squeezing so hard prior to that maybe that, if that tight end release or goes inside and that defensive end is really good at squeezing that thing, that can be a problem, because then it's all going to get jacked up at some point. So I would assume, based on what I know of him, he decided, you know what, if we treat this guy this way and kind of use his technique against him and block him head up, but still insert here, pull a kick, pull and wrap, we're playing the same angles. We're still playing the exact same responsibilities. We're just changing it up a little bit at the point of attack.
So maybe that's just like one of those game plan adjustments.
I bet it's just something where that defensive end was probably pretty good at something, and they said, okay, well, here's how we're gonna work his technique against him.
So your tight end, what I would assume. If I saw your tight end on the street and I said, hey, what's your rule on buck sweep? Is there like a short, simple rule, or would he just say, hey, a 1 or a 2?
He tell you 1, 2, 1, 2 to down.
1, 2 to down.
1, 2 down. 1, 2 tight, loose down. Done.
Okay.
And that would be it.
Okay. Now, the last thing I'm going to ask you, I might have already said those words. So apparently there's a lot of last things. You shared with us a clip of Weekside Bucksweep, you said.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it here. Okay. Weekside Bucksweep. Everybody's seeing that clip right now, which is this is Rock Island. This is a rival for you guys.
It was.
Boom, boom, down, down. I mean, this looks nice.
Yeah.
How often do you use Weekside Bucksweep, and do you have to teach anything different?
So the communication then with your tackle has to be the same that it would be with your tight end. Now again, this year we saw a lot of different looks. But what we're getting is a lot of what Rock Island did, where they put their 3 backers stacked inside. They'd have a hang guy, but they put a guy head up on our tackle, and they kind of cause some problems that way to the backside. And then the same thing to the play side with the head up on the tight end, and just numbers overloaded to our tight end, just hardcore overloaded to our tight end. So we knew going in, and actually we prepped it a year ago when we played Willowbrook in the second round of the playoffs. We just said, you know what, we can run this to the weak side if they're going to overload this thing to the strength.
Yeah.
We can do this, but we just have to get on the same page with our wing and our tackle. And then honestly, our wing is just gonna have to be a dude every now and then and be able to just stalemate. You don't got to win this necessarily, but you got to stalemate this block. So basically the thought is this: we're gonna double team that guy that's head up on the tackle, but our wing's got to take him. So our wing treats this thing like a down block. Our tackle has to punch, and then his eyes go back inside for that first inside linebacker that he sees. And if they got 2 of them, or if they get the 3 like they did, he's probably going to end up getting off to the middle backer to be able to seal him, because we can't get a guy there. So we'll still wrap for that play side inside linebacker. We still got him accounted for, but we got to make sure we take care of that middle backer that's stacked inside. And so we saw an opportunity to do it against Rock Island in the second half, and said, okay, we need to communicate this through. Our wing just has to know. And our wing, I mean, you see him on the film, the kid's 140 pounds. He's not a big kid. He's tiny. Yeah. He's 5'6", 140 pounds. And he was able, as long as you attack at the hip and stay low, you're able to kind of win that stalemate. And then our guy comes and pulls around and kicks, and our next guy wraps. And, I think our halfback goes untouched. So it worked out pretty well. But, there's little things that you got to kind of talk through, give that. I mean, it was an automatic 2 call for those guys, but our tackle knew he was going to be the one that had to leave.
Okay. I'm almost done. Last question, number 3.
Yeah.
When you have freshman camp in the summer, what series do you start teaching first? So what's day 1?
Day 1 is trap and sweep.
Trap and sweep. Okay.
Trap and sweep. The footwork on trap and sweep go together day 1, only because it's going to be probably the one that takes the longest. But we'll go trap and sweep because they mesh up together for us. And then we'll go our lead and our belly sweep, our lead and our belly sweep. And then we'll go our down. And once they have those 5 plays in, then we just rep till they're basically exhausted and tired of doing it. And then, but we'll mix in, like with our sweep and our trap, we'll put in bootleg, and with our lead play, we'll put in naked. So we'll put in some things where they're throwing the ball and they're doing some different things, but, those are the 5 that we start with, and we just hammer them out until we are really, or feel like we're very comfortable with those. And then we move on. And our freshmen were, honestly, this is my first time, actually, yes, I think it's the first time since I've been here. Our freshmen were conference champions this year. So they bought into it, they understood. And then you can mix in some formations, some shifts, some motions, and do the window dressing that looks all crazy and make it work.
Okay. Sweet. My brain is already running. Especially on just the ride on Buck Sweep.
You've seen it. I mean, it's one of those things, like, I don't know, man. There's something about it. It's something about the discipline and the action of it, and the over exaggeration of the sell on everything. Because then you do the same thing with your belly sweep with a lot of people, and it's the exact same thing, and then we ran some down option this year, actually, with our quarterback, who's a pretty good player. So I mean, he's even selling down the same way, and then pulling and coming around. And the first time First time we ran it, week 1, he took it 60 yards. So, I mean, you're pulling guys, you're pulling eyes, you're pulling people. And that's part of the deception. What makes this offense so fun. It's pretty crazy, but it's awesome. We love it.
Love it. If any of you guys have questions for Coach Morrissey, find him on Twitter at what?
Oh, geez.
Coach.
I think it's just Coach Morrissey 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
At Coach Morrissey 7. Follow him. Follow his football team at Moline Football, right?
That's it. Yeah, we're happy to help in any way. A lot of people helped us, along the way, with this system. I think, again, that's part of the WingT fraternity, man, that's so fun. And everybody's willing to help. Everybody's willing to give a little bit to share whatever they do that they feel successful. So we're glad to be a part of it.
So what do you think? He's fun to talk to, right? He is fun to talk to. Man, you guys look him up. Super friendly guy. He'll share almost anything with you. He loves the WingT community. And he's one of my top guys on my list to get as a speaker for our Trap Life clinic this year that I would like to put together. I shouldn't talk about it too much. I can't guarantee I can pull this off this year, but I would like to. The thing in my way is that I coach junior high wrestling, so it's a little bit in my way of hosting a WingT clinic this season. But I can't give up junior high wrestling. That's like the best recruiter there is. Come on, I love it. I love having that type of connection with all those middle school boys. That's fantastic for our program. So look up Coach Morrissey, fellas. Here on Trap Life, these videos that we do, these only stay up for about a month, right? So enjoy it while you can. Hey, spread the news about Trap Life. Follow us on Twitter if you don't already at Trap Life FB. And reach out at any time with questions, suggestions. You want to be a guest? You want to share film that we could talk about? Just want to keep talking ball, keep running the ball. We'll see you guys soon.